Well, that's right. But also remember that Brian Mast is a co-chair with me, and he's from Florida. And he is a veteran, a disabled veteran, and he brings that element to the argument. And, he and I would have very little in common beyond the cannabis issue and maybe testing on animals. We share that. But as far as foreign policy or being a MAGA supporter or whatever, we are certainly on opposite ends when it comes to those issues. But we're together on this cannabis, and he's a co-chair of our caucus. They can't deduct business expenses like any other small business can, because they sell a product that's scheduled at level 1. If you made it level 3, then they could do that and be treated like any other small business when it comes to tax policy.
Now, Congresswoman, while we're on the subject of cannabis business, the federal laws that we're looking at don't necessarily create an industry. They just remove the barriers. It would be up to the individual states to determine what their systems look like. And, one of the concerns that I've heard from a lot of folks is that they're feeling as though that this industry is developing in the various states to be un-American in a lot of ways, that it's developing a monopolistic style structure with license caps and limited folks being able to get into the market. And you see that mom and pop folks, small businesses can't get into it. And essentially, you got to be a large multi-state operator putting in millions of dollars to make that happen. What are your thoughts on that? Is it necessary for us to maintain a free market economy in this cannabis sector, or is this level of regulation the proper one to where we're limited the number of actors in it?
Well, I think the first step is at the federal level, allowing these states to move forward. And states have been ahead of the federal government all along, just like Nevada going back to 2010. But you're right. It was a criticism here in Nevada, too, because they put a cap on the number of licenses that they would issue. And you could only have, say, 10 lounges in the state or 5 in one part of the state. And so when you do that, and you hand out just a limited number of licenses, those people who can afford the big lobbyists and the big lawyers are going to come out ahead. So there has been that criticism. But one of the things you have seen evolve is that there are interest groups and organizations to represent smaller businesses. There's women in cannabis, for example, to be sure that they are represented when it comes to getting licenses and have opportunities to open businesses. There's a minority group of cannabis businesses that are doing the same kind of thing.